1,000 canoeists taking to the water at the Grassridge Dam for this year's Isuzu Fish River Canoe Marathon, the South African Double Canoe Championships. K.O. Bang, the founding father of the Isuzu Marathon, watches the sluices open as the Fish River floods down to Craddock, 84 kilometers downstream. A perfect day on the Grassridge Dam, under starters' orders, and away they go. The front group, commonly known as A batch, will have to race on about 1,000 meters across the dam to the takeout at the wall. Powerful Wits team of Graham Monteith and Mark Perro leading the pack. The paddlers straining to get to the takeout point first. It's critical to reach the takeout point ahead of their opponents to build up a lead on the portage down to the river below. All eyes on the takeout point. Treacherous, slippery, sharp rocks to climb over before they reach the road above the dam. It looks like Robbie Herefeld and Neil Evans are getting into the lead here, followed by Witz's, Perro and Monteith. The Western Cape crew of Van der Westhuizen and Mike Cheeseman coming into the picture here. Defending champions Robbie Herefeld and Neil Evans take off to the river below. It's quite an effort this. The paddlers have almost 1,000 meters to run, and they're running at over 1,000 meters above sea level. Herefeld and Evans, very accomplished paddlers, take to the water. You'll notice they're not putting their spray decks on until they get into the main current and build up a lead over their opponents. They're followed by Perro and Monteith. Defending champions not giving an inch here. And Springboks Perro and Monteith hanging onto their wake. Top boats are followed by provinces Mike Cheeseman and Eugene van der Westhuizen, Witz's, Bird and Cook, and Herman Chalupsky and older brother Oscar. The back of the field, not much room for the put-in, some of the paddlers even crashing through the thorn bushes. Anything to get back into the current. After 20 minutes of paddling, it's Perro and Monteith who forced their way into the lead at Collett's Bridge, commonly known as the Toast Rack. They're followed, however, by Neil Evans and Robbie Herefeld, not prepared to give up the race this easily. Very technical approach there. Paddlers now approaching Keith's Flyover. Every canoeist's nightmare, built in 1975 as an animal crossing by Water Affairs and named after local farmer Keith Collett. One of the worst rapids in the country and a success rate of only about 40% in the Isuzu Marathon every year. Critical decision to make here as to whether to shoot the rapid or whether to run around and not run the risk of breaking your boat. And it's Perro and Monteith who take the chance. The lineup doesn't look very good. Into the hole, and they're over. A broken paddle for Monteith. Somehow he managed to stay in the boat, but they're in big trouble now. Behind them, Evans and Herefeld are portaging. They'll know this, and they'll know the pressure's on now. The young Wits crew, Bird and Cook, somehow pulled it off. Their rudder seems to have broken, but they're still in the race.
Off the boat, off the boat. Rudder's up at the moment.
That'll really get them charged up to get into the lead now. Hudson and Bollock of Natal showing us how not to shoot the rapid. Some excellent whitewater work there, and into the hole they go. Somehow they've managed to pull it off, although they've lost a paddle. Some excellent hand bracing by the driver. All they need now is a paddle, they'll be on their way again. And there it is. Some deft strokes and they're back in the race. Followed by the rest of the field. The Chalupskys managing to get past there. Knowing that only 40% of the field will make it through Keith's flyover, some of the more cautious paddlers choosing a short portage around the crowds watching the action. And here the leaders approach the put-in at Brackerfield Weir. A definite portage, nobody allowed anywhere near the edge there. Graham Monteith seemed to have got left behind doing his laces up. An irate partner, Pero, waiting for him in the river below. This could cost them some time. And ahead of them, an immaculate performance by the defending champions, Herefeld and Evans. Not wasting a second today. They forge into the lead. At Soutpan's Weir, a very novel way of shooting obstacles like this. Pipes have been set into the wall, and Pero and Monteith, Mike Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen get away from Bird and Cook, who seem to be picking up problems in the suck back there below the weir. Soutpan's Rapid, one of the more difficult, more technical rapids on the river. Herefeld and Evans having no trouble here. Perfect line. Herefeld looks over his shoulder, no one in sight. They're followed by Pero and Monteith, their Wits teammates, and the young Western Province crew of Mike Cheeseman and Eugene van der Westhuizen. Carefully picking their way through the big drop at the bottom. No mishaps with these boats. Pero, an accomplished whitewater paddler, so is Monteith. They shouldn't have a problem here. And Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen sticking to them like glue. Great performance by these two young paddlers. The Chalipskis taking it easy into the pool at the bottom. Younger brother Herman doing the steering. Older brother Oscar doing the chirping in the back. Beetle Bailey and veteran paddler from the Bulamanzi, Brian Longley, doing very well up in the first 10. Very good performance by a veteran. And out front once again, it's Herefeld and Evans, the defending champions. And they're being chased hard by Pero and Monteith, who seem to have got away from Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen at this stage. Very tired looking Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen approaching Glenarthur Bridge. A lot of boats come to grief here. There's a lot of debris piled up against the pillars. Paddlers have to be very careful. No problems for Pero Monteith. Once again, the Western Province pair looking a little bit jaded here. They put up a good fight. And it's Herefeld and Evans approaching the finish. Once again, an immaculate performance by these two paddlers. Evans has been in the winning boat twice before, and last year he and Herefeld partnered to win the race. And disaster struck Pero and Monteith at the last big rapid. They wrapped their boat, and they've been forced to portage the last 500 meters. This should give the Western Province pair a good chance to catch up with them. They have to cross the line in their boat, and here they are getting back into the river just before the finish line. The Western Province boat should be hot on their heels here.
Go, Graham!
And there they are, Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen suddenly see a chance to close the gap, and it can't be more than about 4 seconds now as they fight it out to the bridge. Very exciting end to day one, with Evans and Herefeld in the lead ahead of Monteith and Pero and the young Western Province crew of Mike Cheeseman and Eugene van der Westhuizen.
Yeah, about 5 minutes up, there's the last big rapid of the day. And we just shaved a rock in there. We didn't actually hit it particularly hard, but I think there must be something very sharp sticking out. And the next thing we knew, the boat was filling up. It filled up in the matter of 100 meters. So we jumped out in the bank and ran. And that was probably a mistake. I think if we just emptied and climbed back in and tried to lean the boat left, we might have made it to the finish quicker. But it certainly cost us a couple of minutes right at the end.
In first place, Herefeld and Evans of Transvaal in 2 hours 38 minutes 45 seconds, followed by Monteith and Perro, Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen, Bird and Cook, and Viljoen and Labuschagne. An exciting day ahead of us tomorrow. And here we can see how the mighty Fish River shows its talents. A tough race this, no quarter given by the river, and the campsite reverberates to the sound of patching, grinding, sandpapering as the crews patch their boats well into the night. Competitors are not allowed to change boats. They have to finish the race in the boat they started in. Many ingenious methods of patching in order to get the boat ready for the next day. And so to the start of day 2, an aerial shot here of Knutsford Bridge. An icy day, 6 degrees at times. Nico Viljoen needing a bit of comfort there. And a hard blustery headwind facing competitors today. The first batch has been split up and the first 15 competitors are starting on elapsed time. This means that the leaders, Herefeld and Evans, will start on a time trial basis all on their own, and they'll be followed 4 minutes later by Perro and Monteith and the young Western Province crew of Mike Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen. This could tactically be their downfall. The two crews chasing them will definitely work together in order to close the gap. And here we see Perro and Monteith, a powerful start here as they set their sights on the defending champions ahead of them. And they'll be followed shortly by Western Province's Mike Cheeseman and Eugene van der Westhuizen. Behind them, under starters' orders, the rest of A batch in a mass start. And away they go. All fighting for the lead, trying to get to the takeout at the first portage, Baroda Weir, a few kilometers downstream. And at Baroda Weir, you can see some of the people opt for the short portage, some for the long portage. Everybody has their own recipe on the Fish River Marathon. Definitely not an obstacle to shoot. This is where the Natal paddlers come into their own. Seasoned portages from many doozies. They do extremely well on these long portages. In a drought-stricken Karoo, one clearly sees here the importance of the Fish River to the local farmers who form such an integral part of this race. And here Mike Cheeseman and Eugene van der Westhuizen in the Western Province pulling tired-looking Monteith and Perro in an effort to close the gap on the rampant leaders, Herefeld and Evans. They'll use this tactic the whole day, working together, leapfrogging to try and close the gap on the defending champions. Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen looking very strong. Perro and Monteith having a breather on the wave, saving themselves for their next effort. But downstream, we have the defending champions, Herefeld and Evans, looking extremely strong, extremely relaxed. In fact, it appears that they've even opened the gap on the boats chasing them at this stage. Superb combination. They don't seem to be in any trouble today at all. And here they approach the gauging weir. One of the nasty obstacles on the Fish River. Many a boat has come to grief here. They'll have to be very careful. And the gap behind them is not big enough for them to afford a portage. They guide the boat right across to the left-hand side of the river, and they'll go very slowly as they go over. Fine stroke making there by Herefeld. A good brace, and they're off. No problems. That will give them confidence. Now they'll set their sights on the finish. And behind them, Perro and Monteith. Not as carefully. They have a gap to make up, however. And once again, followed very closely by Western Province's Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen. The leaders approach Marlow Weir. They're very quick on the portage, these two, and they won't lose any time here. Very good reason for a portage, this very, very dangerous obstacle. Very quick portage. You'll see they get back into their boat in the reeds. Waste no time, and they're off. And chasing hard, Perro and Monteith, followed closely by the Western Province team of Mike Cheeseman and Eugene van der Westhuizen. These two teams have worked incredibly hard to close the gap on the leaders. Bit of a slow portage by the Western Province pair. They're looking a bit tired now. Robbie Herefeld and Neil Evans powering into the lead here. In fact, at this stage, incredibly, the gap between them and the boats chasing them has grown to 4.5 minutes. Despite the efforts of the Springbok crew chasing them, have not managed to close the gap. And here they approach the mighty Craddock Weir, where many a race, many a boat has come to grief. They're quite happy with their lead here, and they elect to portage. They're not taking any chances. From here to Craddock is a mere few kilometers, and they have that gold medal firmly in their grasp. They're quite confident that the boats behind them, their seconds would have told them, are not close enough to have any effect. Mark Perro and Graham Monteith, however, have no choice. They'll be forced to shoot the weir in order to close the gap. Always a great place for spectators. Downstream, Herefeld and Evans taking no chances. Well, they've elected to portage as well. And one imagines that wraps up the race for Herefeld and Evans. This gives the Western Province crew of Cheeseman and Van der Westhuizen a golden opportunity to slip through into second place if they elect to shoot the weir. But they've also decided to portage, and that surely has cost them second place in the race. And Perro and Monteith take to the final rapids. They'll never catch Herefeld and Evans now, and it would appear that the first three places are now a mere formality. The Western Province crew taking their time about replacing their splash covers. They know they've only got about 3 kilometers to go. The river's at a full level this year, and anything could happen in those final rapids. And at the finish, it's Robbie Herefeld and Neil Evans, the 1991 Isuzu Fish River K2 Marathon champions. A fine effort by them, giving Evans 3 victories in a row, and Herefeld, the last 2 years, he's driven the winning boat. Well-earned champagne there. A proud father, Jack Herefeld, congratulating his crew. And behind the more cautious leaders, the more adventurous paddlers shoot the mighty Craddock Weir. Springbok whitewater paddler Dave Ketley and Andrew Schultz of Western Province having no problems there. A lot of technique needed here. One has to lean against the wall coming down and then lean downstream on the paddle to use the flow of the water to keep one upright. Lifesavers in attendance here, safety, a premium placed on the Isuzu Marathon. And here we have Springbok swimmer Mark Edge swimming. And as always, the Isuzu Lifesavers close at hand. Safety a great premium in this race. And here we have in second place a somewhat disappointed Mark Perro and Graham Monteith. Had a lot of problems along the way, but they chased hard until the line. And they were followed by an elated Western Province crew, the young Mike Cheeseman and Eugene van der Westhuizen in third place. A fine win for Robbie Herefeld and Neil Evans and a new record time of 4 hours 50 minutes 12 seconds. In second place, Monteith and Perro. Third place, Cheeseman and van der Westhuizen of Western Province, followed by Transvaal's Bird and Cook and Viljoen and Labuschagne. And the first ladies home, Dean Simpson and Margie Orford, in an incredible 95th position overall.